All right, everybody, we are going to go over a few things today in quick form as it relates to our class and our project. Um, I will link several videos that will go into depth into each individual thing. But what we're going to do is I'm going to quickly go over what VMix is, how to bring in some inputs like cameras and titles and overlays, and how those things function. So as a technical director, the couple things that you'll be asked to do, and so you'll be able to reference these things and you'll know what they do and how they work. And then the basics of manipulating some of our um, camera positions and elements within the scene. So then there'll be a second video that's optional for those who want to go a little deeper and they want to um, look at manipulating the graphics from Photoshop and bringing them into VMix so that you can have full control. But that's not for everybody. That's for those who might have some Photoshop experience or want to pursue more of in-depth graphics and in-depth TD editing work. So first things first, let's just jump right in. So this is VMix. It's the platform, it's the program that we're going to be primarily using in class. We'll be able to use this program in several different ways. The number one is to send our video to the stream and to pull in cameras. The other way is that we're going to send our graphics over NDI Magic or capture cards, and that'll be able to be pulled in as well. And then we also use VMix for replays. So VMix is pretty awesome. So let's just jump right in. So this is VMix. It's pretty cool. Just to kind of show you what we're working with, we have a blank and a blank, which means there's nothing. This green is our output, and this yellow is our preview. Down here, we're going to have some input boxes that we can manipulate these categories as well, so we can get organized. All of ours will live in gray as we build them, and then we can move them into different sections as we see fit. Over here is our audio section. So as we add inputs that have audio, we'll be able to see them and to manipulate them here. And then down here are different boxes that can do cool stuff. Like we can use this to manipulate what our overlays look like. We can do our stream editing here. We can start and stop streaming, and these gears are always going to be settings. If we want to send external outputs, we can do this. We want to record our content, which we do, we use this. But if we want to add things, which we need to do, we're going to go to add input. Two things here. You can click the little caret up if you want to go for some quick hits, but I like to go straight for the big box so I know what I'm talking about and looking at. And the first thing we're going to do is add some cameras. Now, camera is anything that is an input. That could be an actual camera. It could also be a capture card source. So what I have at home right now is a couple USB cameras plugged in, and you'll see them when I drop this thing down. I got a lot of different camera options here, but we really just are going to use these USB video devices to for today's demo of bringing in some stuff and then manipulating those things. At the class, at least at the time of recording this, we have two options for bringing in video. We have the Blackmagic capture card, which is in the back and installed directly onto the PC tower, which has a single input. And then we have the Blackmagic ATEM Mini switcher, which has 4 HDMI inputs. So the switcher has HDMI and the capture card has SDI. Okay, so and those will show up independently as well. You would see it here. It would say Blackmagic design. It would be a source. Okay, so USB video source. We're going to bring in the first one. It's very important if you bring in USB sources into VMix that at least I have found that if you don't select, it'll start up default, which is not true. You need to go to MJPEG. And for some reason, it gets really bad and stuttery if you don't do that. All right, so, oh, hey. That's me. Here's me in my floral shirt. It's very exciting. There's a slight delay, and we will talk about that in a future lesson. And then let's go ahead and bring in another camera input. I already set this thing up for a JPEG, so here we go. It's going to be a number 2. All right, so we have 2 camera inputs. They're at very similar angles for the purpose of this. One's a little wider, one's a little shallower. Just 2 different cameras. And there we go. Okay, cool. We have 2. Now you'll notice that if I click this one, it's going to be here in the preview. Whereas if I click, whichever one I click here is going to end up in the preview, but nothing changes over here into our live feed. And that is by design because we want to preview things. So as a producer, your language is going to be ready, take. That's pretty much it. You want to be really concise and you want to be really straightforward. We don't want sentences. We don't want monologues and paragraphs. We want to just get things up on screen and ready them and take them. So if I need USB device, oh my God, these are named the same. That's terrible. We should change those. We will. If I want to ready input 2, I say ready input 2 and I take it. Well, it's already there. Ready input 1, take. Oh, okay, cool. We got some stuff done. Now let's make this a little easier on ourselves by going in and editing the name. So this is going to be camera 2, just for the sake of this. Look, oh, it's already a little bit better. And all I'm doing is double clicking here. Camera 1, double clicking here. You notice if I click this with a right click, I did a right click, it minimizes it. So it kind of clears up some valuable space. But if I say ready camera 2, take camera 2. Ready camera 1, take camera 1. Look at that. We're already TDing. Great. But this is a pretty boring show. I mean, actually, the show's pretty awesome. It's me. Let's get our little running man in here. So this is not exactly the most exciting show in the world. We need to bring in some more fun and exciting elements, and we will do that. So there's a couple other things we can add. I'm just going to go over the inputs real quick. Obviously, we can bring in some recorded video, which we might do because we might have some sponsored content. We could bring in a DVD, which we're not going to do at all. We could do some lists if we wanted to have a rolling list of things, NDI, which we will use to capture other sources on the network. Instant replays, image sequences, video delays, blah, 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 blah. Images, photos, audio, all sorts of stuff can be brought in here, as well as color sources, which I'm going to bring in some color bars just so we have another input so we can play around with some stuff. So ready color bars, take. You'll notice I keep clicking something in here. This is basically our switcher. So we have a T-bar simulator here, which would also, as you see, the slower I go, the slower it fades. But fade is going to do a nice fade. Cut's going to do a hard cut. Merge, you can't really see now, but I'll show you in just a second what it does. And if we had any stingers, they would roll as a transition when we click these. And fade to black is simply fade to black, but you do not see it, but it lets you know. So the stream output right now is nothing. Okay, so that's how you move things around. We'll get into the overlays in just a minute. Which are these channels? Okay, so we need to make this stream a little bit more interesting. And we're going to do that by going over to Photoshop. So we did a preview of our scene, or excuse me, our VMIX package the other day, and it has some pretty awesome stuff pre-built, and that's what we're going to use. So you don't need to know how to use Photoshop for this. I'm just going to show you how we're getting the content in for the sake of this process. So we need this background, which is great. So I'm actually just going to quick export this as a PNG. And then we're going to send it straight to our VMIX package. I'm going to drop this up here for simplicity. BG VMIX. All right, so now we know that we need to bring that BG VMIX in. So we're going to add an input, and this is an image. So I'm going to scroll all the way up to our folder. Open this file. And look at that. Ready BG VMIX PNG. Merge. Ugh, it's just one thing, right? It's just an image. That's not that great. Well, we need some more fun stuff. So let's go back to Photoshop. Let's see. I really like these little different types of 7030s that we talked about. These are so cool. This is like totally changes the way things look and the feel and the vibe. So let's get this one. So I'm going to grab this. Again, you don't really need to know how to do this, but I'm exporting this as PNG. The reason for that is because I need the transparency. So box 7030 VMIX. And I'm going to add it as an input. camera seems to have stopped. Interesting. Hopefully this comes in with the transparent background. Really unfortunate if it didn't. Okay, so great. So, let's reset that camera. Oh, my camera's already working. All right, so now we're back. Hey. All right, so we need to combine this one and this one. That's okay. We can do that. So we're going to click on the background. Let me rephrase that. I'm going to add a blank using the caret. I'm going to make it blank. So this is empty. There's nothing in here. And what I'm going to be able to do now is add some layers to it. So double clicked into it, and I'm going to now add some layers. So at the back of this thing, the very, very background, I'm going to add the BG VMIX. And you'll see the 4 here is relating to what input number this is. And then on top of it, I'm going to add the 7030. Okay, cool. Cool. So let's pull in some 7030s. Let's add some more stuff. Camera 1 is taking over the entire scene. It's not cool. We're also going to add our color bars, also taking over the entire scene. Well, that's not cool. So let's change that up. So we can manipulate the size of these things in a couple ways. I can click and drag, which is still not helpful. I need to change the size. So let's go over to Edit, Input 3, Shrinky Dink. 4, Shrink a Dink. All right, okay, cool. Look at that. I'm on Input 4. I'm moving it around. Getting pretty good. I'm gonna zoom in a little bit so I can see a little bit better. I can see it over there on the left-hand side too. Oh, but it's on top of my overlay. Well, that's not good. It's not good at all. Let's go back to our layers. Maybe we want our overlay to be at the very top. So let's roll all. Oh, that looks much better. So now we've moved our overlay grid, our 7030, on top of everything. So it will live on top of everything. Okay, great. Now let's go in and maybe make some changes. Okay, so we got this here. It's in the center. Let's zoom it in a little bit. Move it around. It's almost good. I'm going to scroll wheel just a little bit. All right, great. Number 3. Let's get you in position. Let's scroll wheel. Scroll. Okay. Now, looks like the ratio on here is a little weird. And if it's not quite right, we will just crop. In doubt, crop. Maybe we can zoom this thing down. X, Y, oops. Just use my scroll wheel. Okay, that looks pretty good. Okay, look at that. We got our 7030. We're in business. And look, it's only been like, I don't know, a couple minutes. It's not that big a deal. So just to recap here, what we've done is we are in our color, which we are going to rename this now to 7030. And the reason for that is because it's the 7030. So that's pretty cool. So now we have a pretty awesome, we like, there's a slight problem there. We're going to need to change that. I don't like that little gap. Okay, good. Now we're good. Okay. Boom. Nice. Okay, cool. It's edge to edge too, which I'm a favorite. So let's get in here and let's do the whole entire thing. Main. So main is everything. Wait, yeah, I don't want that. Reset. Let's see what happens. Oops, that's background. Number 10. So this is gonna change a few things. So see what happens here. I want my overlay is a little too close to the edges, and it felt really weird. So we're just gonna switch it up. We're gonna change things a little bit. Give it some breathing room, as they say. Okay. Now, if you'll notice, what's happening is it's editing live. So that's a pretty important thing to notice. We definitely want to make sure we dial all this stuff in before we go live, because if we were doing this during a broadcast, that would be really weird. All right. It would look terrible if we did it during broadcast. Shrink it down a little bit. Move it up a little bit more. Down a little bit more. Down a little bit more. Okay, good enough. And then we'll do the same for number 3. All right. Maybe I can get this one right. I'm not really sure why it's doing that. It's a zoomed side. I don't want that. All right, here we go. All right, that one I positioned pretty good. Down, down, down. Up, up, up. Okay. All right, we're good. Okay, our 7030 is locked. It looks awesome. And now let's talk a little bit about these a little bit differently. So we did our fades, our cuts, our merges, and didn't really show much what was going on. But now let's see what the merge does. It did nothing. Oh, it did everything. I had the wrong camera. So if you see that merge, if there's nothing on the screen, it's just a fade. However, if what you see is in the next scene, it blends it, it merges it together. So it's pretty awesome. It's a really cool transition piece. So like now if we merge this, it's going to become huge. So if you notice, I had the wrong camera picked, so I just did merge and it does a nice little clean fade. If I have the camera that's going to be merged into, it does this cool element here. So super cool, really nice look. So we don't have to go into the other ones, but now you know how to build and take in these graphics. With these, if they were just PNGs sitting around, you could just import it and build. So we don't need box, we don't need BG VMIX, because all we have is our 7030. And actually, let's go ahead and move it to green. Because green is going to be our live scenes. So now we know that we only want the live scenes. Sweet. Okay. And you'll see that it also still references number 6, which is where it lives over here. Okay, so the other thing that we're going to look at my notes. So we've got, let's add some flash, some fun. So we need some overlays. And our overlays are going to be different elements and graphics that pop up on screen and look super cool. We have some overlays already designed by our dear friend Panda. And so let's go ahead and get some lower third double. It's pretty cool. And just for the sake of, actually, you know what? I'm just going to show you real quick how to just add some basics. So go here. They're called titles. This is important. They're called titles. You look at these and you've got your GT. GT means it has animation in it. The no GT is just basic. So GT text is going to just be some text that we could throw in, but it's got some cool things going on. We've got some social graphics that you cue in, some social things doing things. And then you got a ticker. We just want to do this real quick. So we're going to bring in a very simple title. And I'm going to get into that in a second. And I'm going to show you how these overlay channels work. This is important. You'll see 1, 2, 3, and 4. 1, 2, 3, and 4. Each input has an overlay button. Okay. I hit number 1. Look at that. It comes up. And you'll see it's green as well. I turn it off. It goes away. Now, because I made this number 1 at some point, I can now click 1 up here, and it will always be 1. This is the reference of the last input you made number 1. Now, what that means is if I turn this into number 1, it is now number 1. This is not an overlay. This is an overlay. It has transparency. It has this black background. It's going to live on top of things. It lives on top of everything. So that's really important. Those are our overlay channels. That means that that's what gives us the ability to put fun stuff on top of other stuff. So if we needed this to say, you know, my name or something, I don't know, anything, we would need it to use an overlay channel. So very important to know. We have 4 of them, and we can manipulate what they look like here. And that we can customize how they look, which is really cool. So if we wanted to have an overlay that was always a picture in picture, and we could put like a little screen here that would make it that overlay is tiny, we could do that. I could do that by turning number 4 into picture in picture. See how it's changing the size, and it's going to be up here. So now if I select color bars as number 4, look where it lives. It's a little picture in picture, but that would be anything that's number 4. Pretty sweet, including myself. Ugh. But also look at this. That's a problem. We don't want that. So we would remember number 4 is always our picture in picture overlay. Okay. So now you know how to do overlay channels as bringing them in, but these have cool little pieces of text that we can edit. And where that lives is in the title editor. So the TD has access to edit all the titles, which is very nice. But we really want the graphics operator to do that, which is another video. So the headline here, we want to change it to, that's me. The description is doing tutorial. All good. Number 1, Cooper, doing tutorial. Problem, this is taking up the whole thing. So let's double click it like we would anything else, and let's change its position. Oh, I do this every time. See how it's on number 3? We really need to be on main. That corresponds to the layers. So we're on main now. We're shrinking, shrinky dinky. Koopa doing tutorial. Cool. Hey, look at that. So we have a little tutorial, a little bug that goes over. It's pretty fun. It's right there. That's cool. So we have a show. We literally have a show. This is it. We have 70/30. So I could have a tutorial happening here. I could have my screen share. I could be sharing my screen here or here, and I could be talking here. I should probably do that for like the next one, but I'm not. And then there we go. And then now you know how to merge out and fade and merge. So that's the core function basics of VMIX, your just very fast overlay. Oh, excuse me, overview. We have our preview. We have our live, our output. We have input channels down here that live in our first section, which we could, you know, get name all if we wanted to. We have different sections that we can click and drag things into if we wanted to keep it organized. We have audio, which we haven't gotten into. We have inputs that we can add through the input button. And if we want to manipulate our titles, we can right click and do title editor. And we have overlay channels at the bottom. Just remember that whichever you click here corresponds up here. And there you go. So as a TD, this is what you're doing. You're going to be clicking into these things until you start working with hotkeys. You'll start clicking into these things as your producer, director asks you to do so, and then you'll take them with either merge, fade, or cut, kind of depending on what you discuss with your team. That is going to run it for this version. In the next couple videos, we'll get into a little bit more of the nuances of editing and optimizing our overlays for customization. See you later.